Welcome, dear devotees, to the morning Srimad Bhagavatam talk. I'm very thankful to Dharmatma Prabhu for kindly arranging today's talk and to the entire management of ISKCON Vrindavan. Today, the topic is Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 85th chapter, verse 22 and 23. Before I begin to recite the verse, it is Shishta Parampara, tradition established by the previous acharyas, that there should be Mangalacharan, auspicious invocations. I'll begin with Mangalacharan. Most of us know these verses. You can kindly sing along with me. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले सोऽयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, हिताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 85th chapter, verse 22. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Vacho Vaha Samavetartham Tatai Upamanmahe Yannah Putran Samuddishya Tattvagrama Udahrata. Synonyms: Shri Bhagavanuvacha. The personality of Godhead said, Vachaha, words, Vah, your, Samaveta, appropriate, Artham, whose meaning, Tata, O Father, Etat, these, Upamanmahe, I consider, Yat, since, Nah, us, putran, your sons, samuddishya, by referring to tattva of categories of fact, gramaha, the totality, udaharitah, set forth. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The Supreme Lord said, "My dear Father, I consider your statements appropriate, since you have explained the various categories of existence by referring to us, your sons." Purport. Posing as Vasudev's dependent son, Lord Krishna expresses gratitude for his father's edifying instructions. Next verse. Aham yuyam asavarya ime cha dvarakaukasah sarvepyevam yadushreshta vimrigya sacharacharam. Translation. Not only I, but also you, along with my respected brother and these residents of Dwarka, should all be considered in this same philosophical light. O best of the Yadus, indeed we should include all that exists, both moving and non-moving. Purport. To protect his parents' intimate relationship with him, Lord Krishna stresses the oneness of all existence in this statement to his father, Vasudeva. Vasudeva had been reminded of his son's greatness by hearing the sages gathered at Kurukshetra. But his sense of awe was ruining his intimate parental relationship with Krishna, and therefore Krishna wanted to dispel it. We should not misunderstand the oneness Lord Krishna speaks of here. The subtle words of the Upanishads often mislead impersonalists into believing that all existence is ineffably one, without any variety in the ultimate issue. Some Upanishadic mantras emphasize the sameness of God and His creation, while others speak about their difference. Tattvamasi Shvetaketo, you are that, O Shvetaketu, for example, is an Abhed Vakya, a mantra affirming that all things are one with God, being His dependent expansions. But the Upanishads also contain many Bhed Vakyas, statements that affirm the unique distinguishing qualities of the Supreme, such as this statement. Ka evanyat kah pranyat yadyesha akash anando na syat esha evanandayati. Who would there be to activate the creation and give life to all beings if this infinite supreme were not the original enjoyer? Indeed, he alone is the source of all pleasure. Taittiriya Upanishad 271. By the influence of the Supreme Lord's bewildering Maya, envious impersonalists read the Abhed Vakyas literally and accept the Bhed Vakyas only in a figurative way. Authoritative Vaishnava commentators, on the other hand, carefully reconcile the apparent contradictions in accordance with the interpretive principles of Vedic Mimamsa and the logically established conclusions of Vedanta. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripam tamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam. Welcome once again, dear devotees. Today is a very heavy philosophical verse and a purport attached to it. So, obviously, there has to be discussion on tattva, that is philosophy. And the entire chapter is about Shri Vasudev, the father of Bhagavan Vasudev, Shri Krishna. Shri Vasudev had heard from the sages at Kurukshetra, because everyone had gathered at Kurukshetra. And after hearing the sages at Kurukshetra, the sages told him, actually, you don't know who is your son, both of your sons. So then he started asking, please tell me who are my sons, because it seems that you know more about my sons than I do. So obviously, yeah, this is a fact. So then he asked, and they said, your son is Para Brahma, Supreme Brahman. And what is Brahma? Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Avyayam. That which has a Shabda. No word can describe him. Asparsham, nothing can touch him. Arupam, it has no form. Avyayam, it is immutable. Acha, then why does he have a form? So the sages told him that he accepts a form, the impersonal Brahman accepts a form only out of his Maya. And what you see in front of you is basically the impersonal Brahman covered by the mode of goodness. Remove the mode of goodness, and what remains is the impersonal Brahman. And that is the absolute truth. So, this philosophy, which is usually known as Brahmavad, Advaitvad, Vivartavad, was spoken to Sri Vasudev in Kurukshetra, and Sri Vasudev literally took many instructions from the sages there. And when he came back and he's meeting Krishna and Balram, he's describing all the tattvas. Tattvas means all the elements of the Sankhya philosophy, by saying that it actually you are all these tattvas. And the 24 tattvas, or sometimes we say 25 tattvas of Sankhya Darshan, are, when they are considered to be non-different from Brahma or Purusha, the supreme absolute truth, then you enter into the philosophy of Abhedvad, that there is non-difference between these elements and the absolute truth. And when Sri Krishna heard this, the previous acharyas described that Sri Krishna is a little concerned, because this is the purport, it is ruining the relationship that Vasudev has with Sri Krishna. The relationship that Sri Vasudev has with Sri Krishna is a relationship of parental affection mixed with awe and reverence. But of course, that parental affection should remain, and the awe and reverence is taking over to such a degree that Vasudev is actually saying that you are not our sons, actually, you are the Supreme Brahman. So, this is what is happening at this particular point of time. So, Shri Krishna says, and in the first verse we discussed, 22nd verse, Vacho vaha samaveta artham. Vacho vaha, vachaha, your words, vaha, your. Vaha is plural case, although Vasudev is singular case. So why is vaha plural case used in instead of singular case? Plural case is used in grammar to denote respect. Adararthe bahuvachanam. Even in English, we have the royal we. So a person, instead of saying I am going, they say we are going somewhere. So this is called the royal we, exists even in the English language. So similarly, in the Sanskrit language, to denote respect, you use plural case. So your with the capital Y, your. So your words, oh tata means oh dear father, samavet artham, they are having proper meaning. Samavet, the meaning is proper, you didn't say anything incorrect. Etad upamanmahe, Srila Sridhar Swami says upamanmahe upamanyamahe. We believe, all right, we believe. And when he says we believe, he is referring to both himself and Sri Balram, because both of them were being addressed by Sri Vasudev. So the translation here may say I believe, Upamanmahe is plural case, which is being used for both of them, myself and Balaram. Upamanmahe, we both believe. Me and Balram both believe. It's not that me and him are on a different page in this matter. We both believe what you have spoken is correct. Yanha Putran Samuddishya, because you addressed both of us, and Tattva Grama, and you described the collection of 24 tattvas in relation to us, Udaharita. So, what you spoke is correct. In the next verse, he says to Sri Vasudev, Aham, Sri Krishna says Aham. Now he uses singular case. Now he is saying for himself, Aham, myself, Yuyam, yourself, O Vasudev, Asau Arya. And this Arya means he is referring to Sri Balaram. And this Arya, Imecha, and all these by showing hand. Imecha, Dwaraka Okasaha. Dwaraka is whose Okasa, is whose home. So all these residents of Dwaraka. Okas is home. Dwaraka Okasaha. So all these whose home is Dwaraka. All of these residents of Dwaraka. Sarve Pyevam Yadu Shrestha. O greatest amongst Yadus, all of these Vimrishyaha Sacharacharam, moving and non-moving, Sacharacharam. All of these residents of Dwaraka should be looked upon in this way. Which way? That all of them are Brahma. This is what Sri Krishna is saying to his own father, Sri Vasudeva. So the Acharyas say, is Sri Krishna speaking something which is not consistent with Shastra? So of course what he is speaking is consistent with Shastra. Is everything Brahma? Dear devotees, please say yes or no. Yes. It's a very difficult question to answer. Is everything Brahma? And the answer is yes, because the Upanishads declare Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Sarvam Khalu, everything here definitely is Brahman. But many of us find it difficult to understand what is this impersonal Brahman, and therefore it is very important to understand this impersonal Brahman so that we can understand precisely what Sri Krishna is asking Sri Vasudeva to do. Sri Jiva Goswami in his Bhagavad Sandarbha begins with a discussion on impersonal Brahman, Brahma. And the main verse he takes up is Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. And many of us might be knowing this verse. It's in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a very primary verse, very central verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Vadanti tat. The intelligent people describe, Vadanti, describe what? Tat. The devotees, what is Tat? Tat is that. What is that? Tat yat tvam asi, that which you are. I hope you are able to understand. This is Tat. The Tat is taken from that statement of the Upanishads. Which statement? Tat tvam asi. So Vadanti Tat. They describe Tat. Now, dear devotees, whenever you want to describe the nature of a particular entity, you add the suffix tva. For example, something is red. This cloth is red. So, red is called rakta. In Sanskrit, it is called rakta. Redness, if you want to add ness to it, you add tva after it. Raktatva. So, this cloth has raktatva, redness. The marble floor is white, it is called shukla. So, what will whiteness be called? Shuklatva. The absolute truth is tat, and that ness will be called tattva. I hope you are able to. That is how tattva is derived. So, tattva is literally that ness. So that absolute truth, vadanti tat, tattva vidah, the knowers of that, describe that, tattvam, yad jnanam advayam, they describe it as non-dual consciousness. Gyan here means consciousness. They describe it as non-dual consciousness. What is the meaning of non-dual? Many times we use the term non-dual. So, ekameva advitiyam, it is one, it has no second. Neha nanasti kinchana, there are no multiple forms and names here, everything is one. So, vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam. It is advaya, it has no second. It is the only reality that exists. Now, if it is advayam, it is not dvaya, it is not two. Obviously, it has to be one. And then the immediate next line sort of goes in the opposite direction and says, but that same one is described using three names. It is one of those statements from Shastra in which the first line is speaking something different and the second line is speaking something different. There are statements like that in Shastra where Krishna says, for example, in the Gita, Krishna says, Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyosti na priya. I am equal to everyone, nobody is dear to me and I envy no one. But ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya, but those who worship me, maite teshu chapyaham, they are in me and I am. Why did you speak the second line if you spoke the first line? Your second line is contradicting your first line. So, sort of such a statement. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam. It is not two. If it is not two, it has to be one. But then in the next line, it becomes three. So, how does it become three? Brahma, Paramatma, Bhagavan. And now, Brahma is the first understanding of the absolute truth. Paramatma is the second understanding of the absolute truth. Bhagavan is the third understanding of the absolute truth as given in that particular verse. Shri Vasudev has glorified Shri Krishna and Balram as the first understanding of the absolute truth. And what understanding is that? Brahma. And it is correct, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, everything here is Brahman. But what is Brahman? So that I'll explain what is Brahma. So dear devotees, please try to understand what is the impersonal Brahman. The absolute reality also manifests as the impersonal Brahman, and the impersonal Brahman is that which has no gender assigned to it. It is neither masculine gender nor feminine gender. Tat is a term in the neuter gender, because in Sanskrit grammar there are three genders: masculine, feminine and neuter. What are known by Panini as Pumling, Striling and Napumsakling, what are also known by Sri Jiva Goswami in Harinamamrit Vyakaranam as Purushottam Ling, Lakshmi Ling and Brahma Ling. So these are the three genders which are present in Sanskrit grammar. The impersonal Brahman belongs to Brahma Ling. Obviously, Brahma Ling, the gender of the impersonal Brahman, is neuter gender. What Panini says, neuter gender, Napumsakaling. So neuter gender, it has no gender assigned to it. It is present everywhere. Dear devotees, it is present within you. It is present within me. It is present between us. It is present in this glass. It is present in this book. It is present in this screen. It is inside the screen. It is outside the screen. It is everywhere you can imagine and wherever you can't imagine. In all the objects of this world, good or bad, foul or beautiful, that one entity exists. So if that one entity exists, why can't we see that entity? I will not say why can't we see him, because him is masculine gender. So why can't we see that entity? We can't see that entity because due to existing everywhere simultaneously, inside and outside of everything, that entity is all pervasive and has no form whatsoever. For any entity to have a form, it should be conditioned by space. This entity is not conditioned by space, therefore it has no particular form. And since it has no particular form, it is all pervasive, impersonal, it has no particular personality. You cannot taste it, you cannot touch it, you cannot feel it, you cannot hear it, you cannot smell it. It is beyond all the mundane senses. It exists, please hear carefully this statement, it exists as the underlying canvas of all existence. All existence is drawn on this canvas of the impersonal Brahman. That is what is the impersonal Brahman as described in the Shastra. And now this impersonal Brahman, since it cannot be seen, touched, felt, smelt, heard, how do you attain this impersonal Brahman? There is only one way to attain this impersonal Brahman. You just realize that you are it, actually. You are it. Tat, Tvam, Asi. That you are it. It is inside you and outside of you, and actually your particular body is nothing but a conditioning of Maya. What is Maya? Maya is that which doesn't exist, which is false. Just as in a dark night, if you see a snake, if you see a rope and mistake it for a snake, the perception of the snake is what is not real. Similarly, the perception of various names and forms is not real. That is what Vasudeva is saying. No, not what I am saying, all right? Huh? I put this tilak, so I just representing Purva Paksh, Sri Vasudeva. So, Sri Vasudeva is saying all these forms that are seen are nothing but a covering of Maya on the impersonal Brahman. And what is that covering of Maya? It is Ghatakash. What is Ghatakash? You take an empty jar of clay, empty pot of clay, you put it upside down on the table. So the pot of clay, it covers some portion of the sky. There is some sky inside of that clay. And there is sky outside of that clay. But the sky inside of the clay, that pot, is called as pot. Should the sky inside of the clay pot be called as pot? Please tell me. No. Because as soon as you strike it once, the Ghatakash inside the pot will merge with the Parakash outside the pot, and what will remain is Akash. Isn't it? So all of your forms is nothing but the sky inside the clay. And once you finish this temporary existence of clay, and you understand that this clay, which is this body, all these forms and names, any form or any name, was basically mithya. Mithya is false. Then what will remain is the impersonal Brahman. So that is the gist of the philosophy of Advaitavad. So when I am seeing all these forms and names in front of me, what am I seeing? So the Advaitavadi will say what you are seeing is illusion. It doesn't exist. So, well, Dharmatma Prabhu doesn't exist. Well, neither Dharmatma Prabhu, nor all of you, nor myself, none of these exist in reality. What exists is one truth. What is that truth? Brahma. Can that truth be called Brahma? No. Because it has no name. Then why did you give it the name Brahma? Well, for Vyavahar, for day-to-day dealings, you have to assign it a name. So sometimes it is assigned the shortest name, Tat. So that illusion is also the smallest. I hope you are able to understand. That Tat, to call it Tat is also an illusion, because Tat consists of Ta and Ta, and both those Tas are actually illusory. So you are using an illusory term to denote what is not illusory. Short and sweet. So it cannot be denoted by any name. So then how do you denote it? Well, for vyavahar, for practical day-to-day dealings, you have to give it a name. So what name? What is the shortest name? Tat. And slightly longer name? Brahma. That's what it is. So this is, in short, the philosophy of Advaitavad. Now this philosophy is extremely contradictory to the philosophy of Bhakti. Why is it contradictory to the philosophy of Bhakti? Because the entire philosophy, Vaishnav Darshan, is based on the understanding that the absolute truth is definitely Brahma, but more than that, the absolute truth is Paramatma and Bhagavan. But the impersonalist will come and say, I have so many Shrutis, Vedas to support my stance. And I quoted, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Everything here is Brahma. Neha Nanasti Kinchana. There is nothing else here. Only one entity exists. So the Vaishnava is there is a question put in front of the Vaishnava. Please explain your point of view that the absolute truth is not one, it is many. Because this is the point of view of the Vaishnava. So the Vaishnava has to give Shruti Praman, proof from the Vedas. So the Vaishnava says, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. Nityo Nityanam. There is one Nitya, one eternal personality, and Nityanam, plural case. There are many eternal personalities. So that one eternal personality is whom? Bhagavan. And Nityanam, the many eternal personalities are whom? Jivas. Eko, that one, Bahunam, for all those, Vidadhati Kaman, fulfills their desire. So Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. So here is a Shruti, it is Upanishad Vakya, which says that the absolute truth is many. Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. The Jivas are my eternal Amsha. What is the meaning of Amsha? Separated fragments. Sanatana is the term used by Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita. They are my eternal fragments. So if they are eternal fragments, Sanatana is plural case. So is the absolute truth one, or does the absolute truth manifest in many ways? In many ways. Of course, it is also one, and it is also many. But then the question arises, which is the highest version of the absolute truth? That is where everything rests upon. And the decision has to be made. How do we make the decision? What is the highest version of the absolute truth? The impersonal Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan? The impersonalist immediately jumps and says, you read your own Bhagavatam verse, Vadanti tat tattva vidas, tattvam yad jnanam, advayam, and which is the first thing mentioned after that? Brahmeti. The highest is mentioned first. And for those who can't understand Brahma, the second version exists. What is that? Paramatma iti. And for the lesser mortals who remain, what is the final version remaining? Bhagavan iti. The easiest accessible version of the absolute truth. That is how they say. Brahma iti, Paramatma iti, Bhagavan iti, Shabdyate. So the Advaitavadi's point of view is that Brahma is mentioned first, so Brahma has to be the topmost. Sri Jiva Goswami says, not necessarily, because in many cases in grammar, etc., superior entities are mentioned later. It's not that the superior entities are mentioned in the beginning. There is no rule like that. So superior entities can be mentioned in the beginning, superior entities can be mentioned later. So dear devotees, in this way, we have to understand from a neutral point of view, which is the highest version of the absolute truth. And today I will speak from such a point of view that I am not favoring any particular school of thought, because People will say you put on this tilak, so you're going to favor the Vaishnava school of thought. No, from a neutral point of view. And I'll also specify examples of those who were previously impersonalist and switched to the school of bhakti. Because that migration has been in a much greater quantity. Those who switched from the impersonal school to the school of bhakti. And you won't find the reverse happening. Maybe it might have happened for one or two people, but it is not a very common trend, and neither is it described in Shastra. And therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu loved that verse, Atma Ramascha Munayo Nirgrantha Apyurukrame Kurvanti Ahaitukim Bhaktim Itham Bhuta Guno Hari. Atma Ramascha Munayo. There are sages, impersonalists who are Atmaram, who are self-satisfied. Nirgrantha. They have gone beyond all the granthas, all the books. Api Urukrame. Still, to Bhagavan, Shri Krishna, Kurvanti Ahaitukim Bhaktim, they render causeless bhakti. Itham Bhuta Guno Hari. Such is our Hari. He has such qualities that even the impersonalists switch their school and start rendering seva to that Bhagavan. So the Srimad Bhagavatam stands as testimony to the fact that the migration has been from the impersonal school to the personal school. The biggest example of that being the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam himself, Shri Shukadeva Goswami, in front of whom no impersonalist can say that I understand Brahma better than you. Isn't it? Sri Shukadeva Goswami, who didn't bother about his parents when he left his home, who didn't bother about getting second initiated, getting a sacred thread when he left his home, who doesn't care about Vedic injunctions, who is a complete avadhut, who wears only the 10 directions as his cloth. That Shukadeva Goswami, when he looks upon a lady, that lady comes to know that this person has no lust within him. So even the ladies won't cover themselves while bathing when Shukadeva Goswami is walking. That Shukadeva Goswami, he switched to the school of personalism and bhakti. And this is the historical fact mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. And if you don't believe it, you can just look at the descriptions in the Bhagavatam and you can find out which is the highest described subject matter in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Is it Brahma, Paramatma or Bhagavan? And you look at this 10th canto and you will find that the highest described subject matter in the Srimad Bhagavatam is not Brahma, neither Paramatma. The highest described subject matter is Bhagavan. And it was not that Sri Shukadeva Goswami changed his point of view for Parikshit Maharaj or spoke something just to satisfy Parikshit Maharaj. Before he met Parikshit Maharaj, he himself had studied Srimad Bhagavatam from Sri Vyasadeva. And the question was asked by the sages of Naimisharanya as to why did he undertake this laborious task of studying the Srimad Bhagavatam when he is already situated in the absolute truth. And the answer was given, Atma Ramas Chamunayo Nirgrantha Apyurukrame. That was the answer given. That is the reason why he switched from the impersonal school to the school of bhakti. Now, dear devotees, I have described to you the impersonal Brahman. Now, I'll specify what Sri Jiva Goswami says. He says there are three categories of sadhakas, practitioners who want to aim for the absolute truth. And all of these practitioners are absolutely thoroughly honest people. They are dedicated to their paths not because they want to cheat anybody. They are dedicated to their paths because they are very sincere. And the first amongst these is the impersonalist. And this impersonalist wants the absolute truth, wants to perceive the absolute truth, but the impersonalist does not want any Shakti. Shakti is the energy, potency of the absolute truth, because according to this impersonalist, any Shakti is just an illusion and a cause of suffering. Any Shakti in this world is just illusion and a cause of suffering. Why? Because Shakti creates names and forms. Look at any form here, dear devotees. This is a pen I am holding. I call this a pen. A name has been given. It has a form. And the form is made out of material energy. Atoms and molecules bound together by energy are keeping this intact. The moment the energy is lost, the object will disintegrate. So, what is keeping the object intact? Shakti, dear devotees. The energy of binding between the atoms which exists. The Shakti, is it material energy or spiritual energy? Which energy it is? Material. So, to have any name and form in this world, you need Shakti. And history and previous experience has shown the impersonalists that all names and forms are painful. Dukkham eva sarvam. It is all painful. He is thoroughly burnt in the fire of samsar. Now he doesn't want any more names and forms. He doesn't want to perceive any Shakti. When there is no Shakti, there will be no suffering. And that is the easiest way to remove suffering. So therefore, he perceives the absolute truth without Shakti. And Shri Krishna has said, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. As people surrender unto me, I reciprocate accordingly. So Bhagavan reciprocates unto him by manifesting a feature. I will not say manifesting a form because Brahman doesn't have any form. By manifesting a feature that has no Shakti within it. And the absolute truth minus all Shaktis, minus spiritual Shakti, minus material Shakti. So I'll give you a basic formula. Absolute truth minus material Shakti minus spiritual Shakti equal to Brahman. I hope this is understood. So this is how the absolute truth manifests in front of that particular sadhaka, that particular practitioner. Now there is another category of practitioner who is in the world, and that practitioner knows that this world is not impersonal, there is variety in this world, but he has no conception of any spiritual world. For him, the only world that exists is the visible world, and the visible world has names and forms. But there has to be a person who is beyond these names and forms, who may have a form, but who is untouched by the pain of the material world. So in the Yoga Sutra, it is Klesha Karma Vipaka Rahita Ishvara. There is Ishvara. That Ishwar is Paramatma, and he has been assigned a gender now, dear devotees, Purushottam Ling. So the masculine gender has been assigned. And so that is Paramatma, the controller of all the material energy. So according to the Ashtanga Yogi, the absolute truth is Ishwar, who is the controller of all the material energy. And there is no such thing as spiritual energy. There is only one energy that exists primarily. Which energy? Material energy. So while meditating in the heart, this person takes to the process of Ashtanga Yoga, meditates within the heart and tries to attain Samadhi. And in Samadhi, Ishwar becomes visible in front of this particular personality, Sabij Samadhi. It is called. And there, that same absolute truth becomes manifest as only the controller of material energy. And so that is known as Paramatma. Dear devotees, there are three Paramatmas in this material world. Not one. There are three Paramatmas in this material world. Sri Rupa Goswami describes in Laghu Bhagavatamritam, Vishnostu Trini Rupani Purushakhyan Yatho Viduhu Ekam tu Mahatah Srashtra Dvitiyam Tvanda Samsitam Tritiyam Sarva Bhutastham Tani Jyatva Vimuchyate. There are three Paramatmas in this world. Paramatma's function is twofold, as a witness and as a sanctioner. There are three Paramatmas in this entire existence. First is the Paramatma of the entire material creation, Karanodaka Shai Vishnu. That is the Paramatma, the witness of the entire material creation. He witnesses all the universes. Second is Garbhodakashai Vishnu, the witness and sanctioner of every individual universe. And third is Kshirodakashai Vishnu, the witness and sanctioner of each and every atom and atomic particle in the form of Jiva. Tani Gyatva, knowing these three, Vimuchyate, you can become liberated as an Ashtanga Yogi. So the Ashtanga Yogi's formula is as follows. Please hear carefully. Absolute truth plus material energy minus spiritual energy. The absolute truth becomes manifest in the second feature. Which feature is that? Paramatma. And now, dear devotees, comes the final version of the absolute truth, wherein there is a sadhaka, a practitioner who is thoroughly honest, who wants to achieve the absolute truth and wants to see the absolute truth not only as the controller of material energy but also as the controller of all the spiritual energies. And that absolute truth then becomes manifest along with his spiritual energy primarily, because this practitioner doesn't worship the material energy. This practitioner worships the spiritual energy of that absolute truth. And when worshipped along with the spiritual potency of the absolute truth, whom we call Sri Radha, whom some others call Sri Lakshmi, that absolute truth becomes manifest along with his entire potencies and shows his form, and that form is made out of his spiritual potency, eternally made out of his spiritual potency. It was not created at any point of time. That absolute truth becomes known as Bhagavan. And therefore, dear devotees, although Sri Vasudeva may have described the absolute truth as Brahma, but when Sri Shukadeva Goswami described the verse, please look at the verse. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Who spoke this? Who agreed to Vasudeva that what you are speaking is right? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Bhagavan agreed. Yes. Bhagavan sanctioned. Yes. So who became the sanctioner of the impersonal Brahman? Bhagavan. And didn't Bhagavan say in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahmano hi pratisthaham? I am the pratishtha, I am the substratum of the impersonal Brahman. I am the foundational canvas of that impersonal Brahman, which is the canvas of the entire material world. So if the material world is drawn on the canvas of the impersonal Brahman rests on the canvas of whom? Bhagavan. And there is a direct statement to that effect in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahmano hi pratishtha aham. Ahamkar is there in that statement, but whose ahankar, whose ego is there in that statement? Bhagavan's ego is present in that statement. Brahmano hi pratishtha aham. I am the substratum of the impersonal Brahman. And therefore, after analyzing all these things, many impersonalists, because there is heavy confusion on both sides. Believe it or not, there is heavy confusion on both sides. Those who are Vaishnavas sometimes thinking, what if after death I realize that the absolute truth was Brahman and I have to take a birth again just to move in that direction. Taking a birth is painful, isn't it? It's more painful than death. Because you don't forget the previous life at the time of death. You forget your previous life at the time of birth. That is what the Bhagavatam says. In the womb, he remembers everything. But as soon as he comes out of the womb, he forgets his previous life. So please tell me, what is more painful, death or birth? Birth. Dukkhameva sarvam, everything is painful here. I don't want to take another birth. That's what every sadhaka thinks. And the confusion is also on the other side, believe it or not. There is heavy confusion on the other side. What if The impersonal Brahman is not the absolute truth. So those who are thinking I will switch to the other side, you are just switching from one variety of confusion to another variety. And therefore, do I have time, Prabhu? Yes, okay. 5 minutes more? Yes. And therefore, it's very important to understand that you cannot make a decision while you are conditioned in this body by your own intelligence. As it is said, a problem cannot be solved on the level or on a level below the level on which it was created. So the problem was not created on the level of your existence. So it cannot be solved on your level of existence. The problem can only be solved by Shabda Praman, by hearing somebody who is above our level of existence. And those who try to solve the problem on their level of existence are still fighting till this day. Because in the 16th century, there was an Advaitvadi, no, there was a Dvaitvadi, a philosopher from the school of Sri Madhvacharya. He wrote a literature called Nyayamritam, the nectar of logic. That is the name, because Madhva Sampradaya, they are very dedicated to logic. So this Nyayamritam was about demolishing entire Advaitvad, the whole philosophy of Advaitvad. And it was such a big creation. People in Kashi, Varanasi got scared because this entire literature was about one thing: demolishing Advaitvad, demolishing the conception that the impersonal Brahman is the highest form of the absolute truth. And the Madhva Sampradaya was not even releasing this book and giving it in Kashi in the 16th century. They were keeping it to themselves. Nyayamritam. So, the impersonalists in Kashi had to send a double agent to Udupi to learn the Nyayamritam. And the double agent came back to Kashi, and in Kashi there was the biggest scholar of Advaitavad sitting, because we just have to understand what is the demolition that has been done. So the biggest scholar of impersonalism sitting there was Sri Madhusudan Saraswati. And then Sri Madhusudan Saraswati wrote a refutation of that, which today is known as Advaita Siddhi, the perfection of Advaita. And in Advaita Siddhi, Sri Madhusudan Saraswati again established all the tenets of Advaitavad and made sure that Advaitavad stands. In reply, the scholars at Udupi wrote Advaita Siddhi Khandanam. Which, to reply to that, the scholars in Kashi wrote Advaita Siddhi Kantak Uddhar, removing the thorns from Advaita Siddhi. In reply to which, the scholars at Udupi wrote another refutation. In reply to which, the scholars at Kashi wrote another. Now, it is continuing till today. That is what it is. If you want to get into all of this, you can take the path of Nyayamritam and Advaita Siddhi. And you have to study Nyayamritam with 6 commentaries and Advaita Siddhi with 6 commentaries. That is what is happening. Because the 6 commentaries are from the other side and from our side. I hope you are able to understand. That's how you have to study it. So, Sri Jiv Goswami saved us all this trouble by telling us that you believe in the Samadhi of Sri Vyasadeva. All these people are fighting around the Shastras compiled by which personality? Sri Vyasadeva. What Sri Vyasadeva believes in? What is his final realization? That you believe in. And Sri Vyasadeva was not happy after compiling 17 Puranas. After the entire Mahabharata, after dividing the 4 Vedas, after compiling the Upanishads, he was unhappy. And if the author and compiler is unhappy, what to speak of the readers? There was a rumor spread about one book in the modern world. There was a book called as How to Win Friends and Influence People. So there was a rumor that the author committed suicide because of not having any friends around him. So the author is not happy, and what will happen to the readers? So when the author Sri Vyasadeva is not happy, his guru Sri Narad Muni comes and asks him a sarcastic question. Are you happy? Are you happy, Sri Vyasadeva? So Sri Vyasadeva says, I am not happy really. Please tell me what I should do. Because you did not describe the highest version of the absolute truth. Because you describe Brahma sufficiently, Paramatma sufficiently, but you did not describe that one version sufficiently. Which version? Bhagavan. And for this reason, many scholars moved by looking at Sri Vyasadev's vision. Many scholars shifted from Advaitvad to Bhakti. So those devotees who are in the field of bhakti should also have this razor sharp precision of knowing what is Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. So sometimes we become very lazy. Yeah, we are in the highest version of the absolute truth. Of course, he is merciful even for us lazy people who don't do anything to understand him. So if this is our point of view for of taking for granted what Bhagavan has given us, then this is not going to work. Siddhanta baliya chitte na kara alas. What is alas? Laziness. Understand the Siddhanta as it is. So I'll conclude with the verse composed by a personality who was previously an impersonalist but later became one of the best devotees. His name is Srila Sridhar Swami, who was initiated as the Shankaracharya. He was a Shankaracharya of Jagannath Puri. After retiring from the position of Shankaracharya of Jagannath Puri, he retired in Kashi, Srila Sridhar Swami, and he knows inside and outside what is the impersonal Brahman according to Shastra. And then in Kashi, he was worshipping Bhagavan Narsimha Dev's deity. So his worshipable deity is Bhagavan Narsimha Dev, and you can see in the beginning of his commentary, he prays to Bhagavan Narsimha Dev. Vagisha yasya vadane lakshmir yasya cha vaksyasi yastaste hridaye samved tam nrisimham bhajamahe. That is what he says in the beginning of his commentary. So he worshipped Sri Narsimha Dev. Of course, the other impersonalists in Kashi, in Varanasi, were not going to let him sit quietly like that, and they are asking him, what happened to you? Is everything okay? Suddenly you switched from the impersonal vision to worshipping a deity which has limited form and name. So once an impersonalist came to him and told him, study Vedanta once again, maybe there's some mistake in your understanding. So Sridhar Swami did not say anything. Again he continued worshipping Bhagavan Narsimha Dev. Next day that Advaitvadi came again and again poked Sridhar Swami. Sridhar Swami didn't say anything. When it happened repeatedly, one fine day Sridhar Swami prepared a reply. He had prepared in advance. Next time I am going to say this. So when he came, Sridhar Swami uttered a verse by looking at Narsimha Dev, not by looking at that impersonalist. And this verse is in the Padyavali of Sri Rupa Goswami. I'll sing this verse. It's in the meter Shikharini. Sada sarvatraste nanu vimalam adyam tava padam तथाप्येकं स्तोकं नहि भवतारोपत्रमभिना क्षणं जिह्वाग्रस्थं तव तु भगवन्नामनिखिलम् समूलं संसारं कषति कातरस्य व्यमनयो. Srila Sridhar Swami spoke to Bhagavan Narsimha Dev. Sada sarvatraste. Bhagavan Narsimha Dev, are you not present everywhere? Nanu Vimalam Adyam Tava Padam. As the impersonal Brahman, are you not present everywhere? Dear devotees, who becomes primary in this understanding? The impersonal Brahman or Bhagavan Narsimhadev? Bhagavan Narsimhadev. Is your impersonal feature not present everywhere? तथाप्येकं स्तोकं नहि भवतरोपत्रमभिनत्. But what did this impersonal Brahma do for me in millions of lives that I was suffering in this material world? Did it knock on my door? Wake up, Sridhar Swami. Join the International Society for Brahman Consciousness. Did this impersonal Brahman break even a tiny leaf from the tree of my material existence for me till today? The only thing this impersonal Brahman has done is exist neutrally. And I don't want a neutral entity in my life anymore. But Bhagwan, look at you. Kshanam jivvagrastham tabatu bhagavanna manikhilam. I chanted Brahma, Brahma, Brahma for many lifetimes. Nothing happened to me. But the moment I chanted your name, Bhagavan, Shri Krishna, the moment I chanted your name, Nikhilam Samulam Samsaram Kashati, your name chopped down the tree of material existence down to its roots. Bhagavan, that is your Naam. Now tell me, Bhagavan, you give me an answer. He's asking Narsimhadev, Katarat Sevya Manayo. Whom should I serve? The Brahman feature or you? And he leaves it as an open question. Dear devotees, you have to tell me. Whom do you side with? That impersonal Brahman who did absolutely nothing for you in millions of lives that you were suffering? Or that Bhagavan who is willing to do everything for you, exchange bhakti ras with you? So whom do you side with? That you have to understand. And therefore, Sri Raghupati Upadhyay says, sorry, I'm taking 2 minutes. Is that okay, Prabhu? Yes. Sri Raghupati Upadhyay in Sri Chaitanya Charitamritam, he quotes a very wonderful verse. And this is the Rasik side of bhakti. Dear devotees, Tattva is over. Now we are on this side. So Sri Raghupati Upadhyay says, Shrutayah palala kalpa kimiha vayam sampratam chinuma ahriyata puraiva nayanair abhiribhir param brahma abhiribhir param brahma. Sri Raghupati Upadhyay has studied all this impersonal Brahman. And he came in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the first question Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him is, because he was introduced by Sri Rupa Goswami. He is Raghupati Upadhyay, very big devotee. Acha, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, tell me something about Krishna. Imagine one day we have to be face to face with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to ask us the same question. Tell me something about Krishna. And if the only thing that we can say that day is Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will say, well, go back and, do some homework before you come back. So Sri Raghupati Upadhyay said, I'll tell you what I have known about Krishna. With great confidence he said, Shrutaya palala kalpa kimiha vayam sampratam chinuma. Shrutaya, all these Shrutis I heard, which were describing Brahman, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahman. Today I feel that all these Shrutis, all these Vedas are like empty husks of rice. I am just beating them. I repeatedly beat on these Shrutis and say, Aham Brahmasmi, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, Tattvamasi, Pragyanam Brahma. I just keep beating on these Shrutis. There is no seed inside it. So where is the seed? Ahriyata puraiva nayanair abhiribhi param Brahma. By their sidelong glances, the gopis of Vrindavan stole the seed from within the Upanishads. They stole that seed. That seed, which was hidden deep within the Upanishads, was stolen by the sidelong glances of the damsels of Sri Vrindavan. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood the caliber of this devotee. And therefore, Sri Rupa Goswami lists his verse in the Padyavali. Wonderful devotee, Sri Raghupati Upadhyaya. Dear devotees, this is Ras. This is not Brahma. And our Bhagavan is Ras. Our Bhagavan is Ras. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,